What's going on, everybody? Mike McIntyre here, back from All Things Sports, bringing you a brand new video. I had a comment when I did my top 5 boots of 2021. I had a comment by someone asking what my top 5 boots of all time was. So I kind of thought about that and I thought it was a really good idea. So shout out to you for suggesting that. You know who you are. We're going to try and do our best here to show you my top 5 boots of all time. So let's get into it. Alright guys, thanks for stopping by. As always, Mike McIntyre, All Things Sports. Let's get into my top 5 boots of all time. And we should start with probably number 5, right? Let's make our way down. Number 5, I actually have it, okay? Number 5, I've got to get it down first. Hold on. We have the Puma Evo Power Vigors. I was a massive fan of this boot. It was really one of the best fitting Pumas to come out. It wasn't super bulky. It was nice and thin, streamlined, comfortable, stretchy thanks to the knitted upper, and relatively wide, which was good for me for my wide feet. I wasn't the biggest fan of this shape of collar, but for this shape, it was one of the best out there. It actually fit remarkably well, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of this shape. That's probably my only knock against the boot. I was a big fan of this colorway. I like the black, silver, and a little bit of pink to it. I thought it looked quite good. But the boot really just fit so well. It was comfortable, it was light, had tons of support, it fit well, and I just liked the feel on the ball. It had that anatomical toe shape that Pumas used to have. They kind of don't do it anymore, but the point came at the big toe rather than directly in the middle of the boot. And overall, I was just a really big fan of these. And it was unfortunate that they broke on me. On the other boot, the rear stud on this one right here, the stud just completely broke. So I can't wear them anymore because you can actually feel the boot kind of sink in at the back because there's no stud there. So I really can't wear them anymore, but this was one of my favorite boots of all time. And it was really too bad that Puma decided to go away from this model because it was really one of my favorite boots of all time. Alright, I had to jump for this one. Coming in at number 4 for me all time is the Adidas Predator Absolute. This came out in 2006. I had been wearing Predators for a few years at that point. I didn't get the Manias, but I'd been wearing the Predator Pulse for 2 years because at the time boots released every 2.5 years. And this one just reshaped the boot a little bit. It was still the same idea in the sense that you had an external heel counter, leather upper, Predator element, tongue, fold over tongue with the elastic on the bottom, split sole plate design, but they just did something to really make this boot a little bit more slim, a little bit more streamlined, and I really liked the way it fit because there was sort of less Predator elements on it. It almost felt like you had a little bit more kangaroo leather. I did like the 3 stripes on the outside here. You had this split sole plate design. I was a fan of the external heel counter, and I was just a really big fan of this. The nice soft leather tongue. The tongue was reshaped and it just fit really well. Covered the laces nicely, and I love the cutout of the boot around the ankle. You had that kind of natural cut here to go around the Achilles tendon, fit underneath the ankle bone here, and it was a really good boot. I had multiple pairs of these. I had the all-white David Beckham versions. At number 3, we have the Predator Adi Power. Now these come in at number 3 because of the revolution that they brought. I know at the time a lot of people were perhaps unhappy at the direction the Predator was going in. They were getting away from the classic Predators with the tongue and the power elements and going to a more streamlined, lightweight design. At the time, I thought it was such a good idea. I guess I was a little bit more progressive with my thinking. I thought that after seeing what they did with the F50 Adi Zero, I thought that lightweight boots were really going to become a little bit more common and a little bit more of the norm. And I really thought that this brought the Predator into a new era. It really brought it into the next generation. I actually love the power element that they kept on here. There was plenty of grip here. I really liked how it encouraged you to strike the ball hard and whip it around and stuff like that. I like the thin tongue. I was a huge fan of the tongue and the thin laces and getting rid of that fold over tongue because it was just less bulky. So I was a really big fan of the design. It was really cool to see this one-piece sole plate with the speed frame outsole. They kept the external heel counter. The cut around the ankle was still the same. It was just a really, really good boot. There was a little less leather on it, which was probably what a lot of people were unsure about at the time, but it really did make for a really good leather boot. This was a really, really good progressive boot and one of my favorites. It was really, really such a good boot, and I absolutely love this pair. All right, guys, at number 2, this is going to be perhaps a bit of a shock to some people. At number 2 on my all-time favorite boots is the Predator LZ2. These came out in 2013 or 2014. It's probably a bit of a shock to some people because in some ways this was the most unlike a Predator boot that ever came out. Like, this is a Predator, right? People thought of classic Predators with red, black, and white colorways and just very cool looking designs. And to be very honest, it wasn't the best looking boot. The zones really didn't look all that attractive, and it launched in this green and kind of yellow colorway. So for a lot of people, it probably just put them off because of the way the boot looked. But once trying it, they really did do a good job of refining the zones. All 5 zones became a little bit thinner. They became a little bit less aggressive, but still offered plenty of grip. And because of that, the boot just became so much more flexible than the original LZ. So for me at least, it fit really well. It was modern, it was thin, it was light, but it still offered that feel on the ball that I liked, and it still offered some of that grip and some of that kind of feeling of the classic Predators. And because of the way the boot fit, I love the way it fit around the heel. I love the way it hugged my foot in the midfoot. It wasn't too narrow, but it still allowed a bunch of people to wear them. It was really just an ultimate Predator in so many ways. And for the time, it was super modern, and I still think it is. I still think it fits well. It's still lightweight. It still has these Predator elements on it. And I just think that the way the boot fits in this hybrid touch material, offering that flexibility, but also that responsiveness that you want, it kind of felt like leather, but had some of the benefits of synthetic. It was really one of the best boots that they ever released, in my opinion. And I think that the general thought around it, the kind of buzz around the boot, was not very positive. But it was really, really good. And I actually think that if you have an opportunity to try these, I think you should. And then the number 1 boot, this probably doesn't come to a surprise from anybody that's watched my channel for a long time. The number 1 boot of all time, and to be honest, it's in a league of its own, is the Mizuno Morelia Neo 2s, and I still haven't had a chance to try the Morelia Neo 3s. For being one of the biggest fans and probably one of the biggest people on YouTube to push Mizuno, if you haven't tried these, you absolutely should. They hold up like no other boot. They're extremely durable, they're extremely light, they're very responsive. They have the best leather that you're going to find on any football boot, period. I don't even want to have a discussion about it because it's that good, okay? It's the made in Japan version, premium version of the Mizuno Morelia Neos. They are that good. Super responsive, very light. They're kind of using the speed frame design like Adidas, right? But you have conical studs, which are very forgiving. They're long enough to be good on plenty of different surfaces. There's a bunch of them. External heel counter. I love the way the heel is cut. It fits well. You have this little bit of extra support here. They're wide enough to fit my wide foot. They do get a little stiff when you don't wear them. All you need to do is put a little bit of that leather cream that you get on them, wear them, and after wearing them, they feel like a slipper. They really are my favorite boot of all time. They're one of the best boots out there. They're thin, they feel comfortable, they're responsive. You can go true to size on them, in my opinion. The leather's gonna stretch out a little bit in the forefoot, and they're really just such a premium offering. And as you can see, obviously, I've had 2 pairs of them, and I've got a couple of my friends, a couple of my teammates in the past to actually buy them, and for most, they're saying the same thing I'm saying. So if you haven't tried a pair of Morelia Neo 2s, you absolutely should, and that is my number 1 boot of all time, and I'm still wearing them. Please, Mizuno, send me a Morelia Neo 3. I want to try the 3 and I want to add it to the collection. But that is my top 5 boots of all time. My personal favorites. I'd be very curious to hear what yours are. Please leave that down below in the comment section. Let me know what your top 5 boots are. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Mike McIntyre, All Things Sports, sign out for now. Take care. Peace.